The Denon PerL Pro seriously impressed me with their sound quality. That's why I awarded them the best sound quality of 2023. But do they still hold that title today? Because I've been testing them heavily over the last 4 months. So let's see how well they score and rank against the best of the best in 10 categories. And I've got my custom scoring spreadsheet linked below for easy comparisons, and you can tailor the scoring to your liking, but I'll explain more of that later. Now these are the most expensive earbud that I currently own, retailing at $349 US, $549 Australian. But let's start with category number 1, comfort. And I'm giving the PerL a score of 6.5 out of 10. You get 4 sizes of silicone ear tips and 1 hybrid foam kind of ear tip, as well as 2 wingtips. There should really be some organization, like a cardboard case or something, especially at this price. But anyway, you can kind of tell from the design, these were not really made with comfort in mind. It's more of an IEM kind of fit with a pretty deep nozzle. So it's the deepest fit out of all the earbuds on my ranking. I personally don't mind deep fit. It works for me. Still, I can wear the earbuds for about 2 hours before I start to get some discomfort, mainly because I use a larger wingtip. So with the smaller wingtip, it's not as bad, but still, it's just not a very light feel in your ear. There's a little bit of suction and pressure, and the bud is just large. It's like a giant button design, so it has a bit of weight to it. But put the giant button design aside, because these buds are definitely worth it. Trust me. Now, if you want to take your fit to the next level, these buds work great with SonicFoam Eartips, and they're the sponsor of today's video, but I've been testing them over the last 3 months, and they get the picky stamp of approval. The quality of the memory foam is amazing, as you can tell when they're side by side to the pair that's included with the PerL Pro. And they fit in the case, but if you use a larger size, they're going to need a little bit of a squeeze to lock in. And the fit is simple, just squeeze the tip, chuck them in your ear, and it will slowly expand to give you an incredible seal, improving sound quality, security of fit, but most importantly, the noise cancelling improvement is insane. It's like a 20% improvement in noise cancelling strength, especially with voices and higher frequencies. So if you're into your memory foam, grab some for yourself with my link down below. Now let's talk about the security of the fit. I'm giving them a score of 8 because that wingtip provides some very nice security. I can happily use these when weight training. They barely budge out of my ears. It's only when I was kind of benching and really getting my head in a squish position and clenching, the buds move out of place slightly and I lose a bit of the seal. Or if I was like leaning over doing a barbell row or something like that, the buds also move out very slightly, but no way they're gonna fall out. And I did test these out when running and I had no issues. There is the slightest amount of body-borne noise from the impact that you make on the ground, reverberating into the actual ear tip, but it's manageable, and the transparency mode is great when running. It doesn't pick up too much wind as well. And if you like to use your earbuds when training, they have an IPX4 water resistant rating, fine for sweat and splashes of water. Use in the rain, you just can't submerge the buds in water. Next, we're talking about case and battery life, and the advertised numbers you're getting here is 8 hours from the earbuds and 24 hours in total with the case. So the total battery on the earbuds is great. That's the best you can get. Tied with the Sony XM5s, also at 8 hours. But 24 hours in total, considering the size of the case, it could have been a little bit better. I mean, they did have to put the giant earbuds in the case, so that's going to take away from how much battery there is. So they're trying their best, I assume. You also get regular fast charging here on the earbuds. Chuck the buds in the case for 5 minutes. You're going to get 1 hour's playback on the earbuds. And you can also charge your case wirelessly. So with all this, I'm giving them a score of 6, also because the build quality of the case, considering the price, it feels like it should be a lot more premium. The hinge is a little bit flimsy as well, and you get no water or dust resistance on the case. And if you want to compare all this information, it's in my spreadsheet and linked down below. But now let's talk about the controls. You're getting touch controls with a single, double, triple tap, as well as a double tap and hold. No long hold for some reason, but you get some nice freedom to customize each function on the left or right earbud to whatever you like. The double tap and hold works great for increasing volume. You just double tap, hold, and it will keep increasing or decreasing. You can also set your voice assistant to touch controls, toggle spatial audio on and off, pause your music when you turn transparency mode on, and you can also adjust what they call the immersion level, which is pretty much like a bass boost slider. And I'll talk about that later, but it's pretty cool to just be able to quickly increase or decrease the bass just using the touch controls. I found this very useful when training. I was just going for a heavy lift, cranked up the volume, cranked up the bass, and it got me going. It's definitely going to help you when you need that little extra push in the gym. Now the wearing detection you get here is solid. It's almost instant when you take one or both earbuds out, your music will pause, chuck them back in, music will resume, and you can customize this in the app or just turn it off. Only issue is when I place the buds with the sensor down on my desk, it'll think the bud's in your ear and the music will start to resume, which, I mean, at this price, really shouldn't be a thing. And if you have noise cancelling on and you take one earbud out, the bud that's still in your ear, noise cancelling will stay on. Most earbuds will turn it off or turn transparency mode on automatically. Again, something that you just kind of expect to see at this price. And another small issue is if you want to turn noise cancelling off, you have to go into the app settings and then turn it off in there. You can't add it to your touch controls. So with all of this, I get a 7.5. It's only a few minor things that holds them back. Now the next category is connectivity. So you're getting Bluetooth 5.3, SBC, AAC, aptX Adaptive, and aptX Lossless. And aptX Lossless is currently the highest quality streaming that you can get over Bluetooth. On paper, it's supposed to be on par with LHDC, but to be honest, to me, it's pretty much the same difference you get from going from AAC or SBC to LDAC. I tested the lossless on my Asus Zenfone 10 using Apple Music, lossless streaming, and yeah, it's good. Like I always say, codecs only make a small difference to sound quality. The reason a bud is gonna sound good is the drivers that it uses and how it's tuned. It makes up like 95% of the sound. And there's also an issue if you use Apple Music on an Android phone with aptX Lossless specifically, like some weird crackling and distorting on certain songs. But if you use something like Tidal, it's fine. So if you wanna go down the high-res codec rabbit hole, feel free, it's a bit of a nightmare. But thankfully, even just testing on Spotify, going from SBC or AAC to aptX, slight improvement. And then you go to aptX Adaptive or aptX Lossless, a slight improvement from that as well. Anyway, codecs drive me crazy. Moving on, single bud use here is great. You can use one earbud while you leave the other in the case, and it is going to work in mono mode, so you hear the left and right audio channel when you're using just one earbud. You also get multi-point connection, so you can connect two devices to the earbuds at the same time. And you also have the option to turn this on in the app. It's called Music Takeover, where you don't even have to pause music on one device before you resume it on the other one. Just press play and it will automatically pause on your other device. So with all this, they're getting a score of 8.5. Now we're gonna go through the bonus round of gaming latency, because you don't get a low latency gaming mode here, but these are the results I got in my test on iOS and Android. 400 milliseconds, pretty good for casual games. You do want to get closer to 200 milliseconds for faster reaction games like shooters. All right, now let's talk about the core quality. I'm giving the Denon PerL Pro a score of 7.5. So I run through 3 tests: a quiet room, loud kids screaming, and a simulation in Windy City. They performed great in all the tests, except the Windy City test. They did struggle a little bit, but they still did pretty well. Keep in mind that this testing is like very loud, extreme, worst case scenario. You also have the option to turn noise cancelling on or transparency whilst you're on a phone call. But when it comes to controls, you're only able to accept a call, reject a call, or end a call. You can't mute your microphone on the earbuds or do anything else. But anyway, here are some samples so you can hear it for yourself. All right, here's the call quality of the Denon PerL Pro in a nice quiet room. All right, now I've got some simulation kid noise playing just outside my door. All right, here's the call quality of the Denon PerL Pro with some kid noise being played in the near distance. All right, so now I've got some construction noise being played in the distance, some pretty loud crowd noise being played off my MacBook Pro, and I've got my trusty fan to mimic wind noise. All right, here's the call quality of the Denon PerL Pro with some construction, some crowd noise, and some wind noise. All right, next category is app customization and extra features. Right off the bat here, you need to be connected to the internet to access the app. I don't know any other earbud that does this, but if you're not connected to the internet, the app just won't open. Don't know why. Hopefully this can be fixed, Denon. That'll be nice. But let's run through all the features here. The home screen has your hearing profile, of which you can save 3 total. That is the biggest selling point of these earbuds, the hearing test, which I'll talk about in a sec. You have your transparency toggle on the left, spatial audio toggle on the right, and your immersion slider in the middle, which is your bass boost, increase or decrease. You've got the EQ customization at the top there, a share feature, which only actually shares an image of your hearing profile. And you've got the battery of the buds, but you don't get the battery life of the case. Now the top left tab has your extra settings. You have your touch control settings at the top, low power mode or performance mode. Pretty much low power mode just turns everything off. Performance will just turn all the features on. You can toggle on or off multi-point connection. Your music takeover, which is with the multi-point connection, as well as spatial audio. You've got your wearing detection settings, a volume limiter and gain mode. Basically will just increase or decrease the total volume of your earbuds. So you get all the main customization you really need. Some small things missing is like noise cancelling and transparency strength adjustment. You don't get voice detect or a find my buds feature, and you can only use the app when you're online. So with all this, they're getting a score of 7. But now let's talk about the noise cancelling first. How I test my noise cancelling, I chuck on my soundbar and I'm playing simulation plane noise and crowd noise. So I'm testing high, middle, low, consistent, as well as inconsistent sounds. And the noise cancelling is solid. I'm giving them a score of 8. And here's my noise cancelling ranking with all the earbuds that I've tested. Keeping in mind, it's a pretty rough ranking because I'm just going off what ear tips seal the best for me. And even the slightest change in the ear tip seal can make a pretty big difference to the noise cancelling strength. So consistent low frequency sounds, no issues at all. They don't block out voices, and inconsistent sounds are those high ranked earbuds. As I mentioned before, you can't customize the strength of the noise cancelling, but if you want to use one earbud at a time and still use noise cancelling, you can do that. Now the noise cancelling has no automatic wind reduction built in, but In terms of just not picking up wind through the microphones, these pick up the least amount of wind out of any earbud I've tested. I don't know what it is, like if there's mesh on the microphone or if it's just the positioning of it, they just don't pick up much wind at all. So there's no automatic wind reduction, but they don't really need it. Now, when it comes to EQ shift, that's how your sound quality changes with noise cancelling on compared to transparency compared to noise cancelling off. And with ANC on to transparency, they sound the same. When you turn noise cancelling off though, you're gonna lose about 20% of your bass. So a pretty noticeable difference, only really an issue if you're using noise cancelling off quite regularly. Now the next category is a transparency mode. They're getting a score of 8. Again, overall it's solid, you get nice clarity, it's natural, doesn't sound too fake. The volume of voices could be slightly better, that's my only complaint, but I could still have a conversation with someone and easily hear what they're saying. And when you speak yourself, your own voice sounds pretty good. There is a tiniest bit of occlusion, so your own voice doesn't sound as natural as, let's say, the AirPods Pro 2. My biggest complaint though is every time you turn the transparency mode on, your total volume is brought down by 4 clicks. And there's no way to turn this on or off. Thankfully, the buds are just ridiculously loud. You could have transparency mode on and still have plenty of volume to play with. And like the noise cancelling, no automatic wind reduction, but again, the mics don't pick up too much wind, so no issues. And it will block out some loud sounds, like if I just like clap near my ear, it's automatically gonna bring that volume down. And like the noise cancelling, you can't adjust the strength of the transparency, which would have been nice. All right, now on to the final round, sound quality. First, let's start with volume. If you're looking for loud listening, these are the second loudest earbud that I've tested with 120.5 decibels. Even with the transparency mode volume reduction, I still got over 104 decibels. And keeping in mind, anything over like 90 decibels, you're in serious hearing loss territory. And if you like to listen at lower volumes, there's no special EQ to boost the bass and treble. Since we naturally hear less at lower volumes, the earbuds that do that the best are the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra and 2, and the Google Pixel Buds do it as well, but it's not as good. But the PerL Pro still sound fine at lower volumes. Now onto the sound quality itself. Like I said, the hearing test is the biggest selling point here. They use what they call the Massimo Adaptive Acoustic Technology, pretty much a hearing test. So it will adjust the tuning based on the sensitivity you have to certain frequencies. So the further that shape stretches outwards is gonna be how sensitive you are to those certain frequencies. And the first time I did this hearing test, I feel like it didn't work. One earbud was louder than the other. It turns out I had heaps of earwax built up in one ear. So once that was cleared out, it was fine. So make sure you clear your ears out before you do the hearing test. But once you do the test properly, these buds sound incredible. You can switch between your personalized setting and like the default tuning. The default tuning doesn't sound that great at all. I think it's more of like a marketing thing to show like a massive difference. But anyway, once I got my personalized sound, I feel like I still needed to tweak it in the EQ a little bit, mainly boosting the treble and the mid slightly. And you do get some nice freedom here to really customize the sound further. And that immersion slider is your bass boost. I like having it on 1, although I also don't mind that it's 0. I find it's mainly boosting mid bass, so I actually found having it on 0 pushed out slightly more sub bass, so it would have been nice to just boost the bass frequencies in the actual EQ. But anyway, with my personalized sound, my EQ customization, these are simply my favorite sounding earbud, still to this day, that I've tested. The bass is rich and full, especially with the mid bass. You get a tasteful amount, it doesn't bleed into the other frequencies. You get a nice amount of sub bass, although I wish there was just the tiniest bit of extra sub bass. It's my only complaint with the sound, to be honest. But the mid range you're getting here combined with the mid bass gives you some vocal clarity that I just really haven't heard before. When it comes to male vocals, super rich and detailed. Female vocals, they're forward, they still sound natural, and I just get this feeling of like someone's actually singing into my brain. And the treble here is some of my favorite. It has excellent detail. The upper treble was a bit lacking, but with that EQ, you can get it to a nice level where you're getting that sparkle and that detail. And I find with a lot of earbuds, sometimes you get that nice upper treble, but the lower treble can be a little bit lacking, where here, it's just a perfect balance of the two. And the soundstage here is the best I've tested, even without spatial audio on, which I'll talk about in a sec. Same with the instrument separation, up there with the best. Now, one of my go-to testing songs lately is called Coil by Opeth. It's an acoustic track with male vocals in the first half and female vocals in the second half. And it's just a great testing song if you've never tried it. It's just a great song overall, but just easily the best I've heard. I get so immersed when I listen to these with the PerL Pro. As do all genres, any song I throw at them, it just sounds amazing, super immersive. So I'm giving them a score of 9.5 out of 10. The only thing holding them back from being a 10 is the bass boost customization, as well as that slightly lacking sub bass. Still, if you wanted to just chuck that bass boost all the way to the top, these give you a very unique bass boosting. It's a little bit on the boomy side, but it still manages to separate itself from the mids and the highs better than any other earbud I've tested. If you want to go crazy, it's fun to play around with. Now, compared to my previous two best sound quality was the Sony XM5 and Sennheiser Momentum 3, they had scores of 8.5, and I'm not gonna lie, they still get pretty close to the quality of the PerL Pro. Where the PerL Pro really separates themselves is with their soundstage and instrument separation. And the immersion I get in my music and just realism with instrumentation, the PerL Pro just on another level. And you can take that soundstage even further with the best implementation of spatial audio that I've ever tested. Usually spatial audio has quite a bit of like echo and reverb effects, and guitars and kick drums sound kind of fake and echoey. The PerL Pro still has that slightly, but it's the least amount that I've tested. And if you're listening to music that has like kind of a focus on 360-degree sound, like Psytrance, or a song I like to test by Tool is called Chocolate Chip Trip. If you have the PerL Pro, chuck on spatial audio, chuck Chocolate Chip Trip on, and you'd be tripping. And I have compared the PerL Pro to the Bang & Olufsen Beoplay EX, Bowers & Wilkins PI7S2, and Technics AZ80. All amazing sounding in their own way, but for me, my personal preference, I'm still just gonna be going for the PerL Pro. There's just something about the sound, it just works for me. And make sure you're subscribed because I'll be adding all of those earbuds to my ranking as well. But now let's look at the final scoring. We've got the PerL Pro in the 5th spot with a score of 76.5 out of 100. So if sound quality and a unique listening experience is your #1 priority, these are the pair to get. But overall features, there are better options. That's why I created my custom scoring spreadsheet linked down below. You have notes on each score, specs for easy comparisons, as well as an advanced scoring system for you extra picky people. To customize the scoring, just fill out a number in the importance column for each category, and that'll multiply the total score. 0.5 to halve the scoring, 2 to double, 10 to 10x the category. You get the idea. I hope it helps you out. But if you are looking for a better all-round earbud, check out my Jabra Elite 10 review right here. In the meantime, stay picky. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.